Hey there, guys. I've been getting a lot of questions about mastering and using mastering type effects on your master fader within Logic or any other DAW. And I wanted to explain what I use and why, and in case it's helpful for you. So, as a songwriter, I crank out a lot of songs, and I don't have the budget to have everything professionally mastered. But in order for me to um, render things at a proper level, I want to visually monitor the summing of all that data, see how hot it's coming in, if it's going over or if it's weak. Don't be fooled by the loudness out of your speakers. That's irrelevant. That's a different part of the equation. So I want to tell you what I do and why. I was watching a presentation that the New York Logic Pro users group shared. They brought in Toby Gadd, and he talked about using Logic Pro, and he used a similar signal chain on his master bus in Logic, and I've kind of taken that idea and I use it all the time now. I don't master in a separate session. I just do it right within my session. Toby Gadd, if you haven't heard of him, he has writing credits with Beyonce, Fergie, Alicia Keys, and a number of other artists. So the song you're about to hear, I co-wrote with Gene Ezel. He wrote me Dr. Gene Ezel, and he sent the lyrics, and I cranked out the music, and we're putting down the finishing touches now. I met him through the Songwriters Cafe community. He and I both have songs on their compilation CD that came out recently. So here's the song we wrote. Here's a little bit of the chorus. Oh God of my life, I pray for the day when my faith becomes sight. Okay, you can see that my levels are over, and it makes sense. It's an upbeat rock pop song. Incidentally, I'm not a vocalist. This is just my scratch vocals. I plan to bring in much better singers than I am. You'll also notice that out of these 70 tracks, here's the 70 or so tracks, none of them go out to the master fader. They all go to subgroup faders. You'll see bus 8, bus 9, etc. And those kind of just funnel down until I'm left with 4 submaster faders. So everything goes to these 4 faders. Now all the vocals may come over here, like the chorus vocals I can control here, the verse vocals somewhere else, the bridge vocals, electric guitars, etc. Those are kind of just before the submaster faders. So I can control some balance there also. But if I look at my master fader and the level is over, I can pull down these master faders and make an adjustment. So let's try that. I think this is marker number 8. I set it up so I hit the number 8 and it goes right there. Okay, I don't mind it going over a decibel or 2. Now, so let me backtrack. If this song is going to be professionally mastered, then you would want the peaks of this to come together to be -3 or -6, depending on what the mastering engineer tells you. So you would adjust this overall volume until it was just peaking out at -6 or -3 dB, whatever they want. So let me tell you about the plugins I use to do my semi-mastering. First, I want a compressor or limiter that's going to bring up the bottom of the mix, that's going to give some overall energy. So typically I'll use the adaptive limiter, and I'll use the default setting. I've had the best luck with that. Every once in a while I will use the add density setting, but usually it just does a little too much for me. The second setting is an EQ. Often I'm going to make some kind of cut, even pretty aggressive. This is like -5 dB or so, around 300 Hertz. And that tends to help isolate some of the highs and the lows. It separates those and just adds some clarity to things. There's a slight bump up on the high end, a slight bump around 3K or so, and a slight bump down low to give a little more thump. Now, since this plugin is after my limiter, then any additional, if I do any additive EQ, then I just push things over digital 0. So whether I do additional EQ or not, I'm going to have a second instance of the adaptive limiter, and I tend to use the soft limiter setting on this. So let me slowly add these plugins and you can hear what they do in real time. So let's get that chorus going. Oh God of my life, I pray for the day when my faith becomes sight, glory and wine, along the way, into glory, into thine. So I'm pretty happy with that, and I can see visually, I only made that clip once before this was engaged. I can see visually that it's got the energy I want, but then there's still motion. It's not flatlined. Let me show you what it sounds like if I drive the sound too much and then too little. So let's overdrive those. So again, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing all the Submaster faders and I'm pulling them up proportionally and down. I don't lose my mix. If for some reason I want a little more drums, I can do that, or less. If I want to take out all the vocals, I can do that. This just gives you a lot of flexibility. So what I'm doing is I'm not changing the mix, I'm just changing the overall output and dialing it in by ear to where the point where it has a lot of energy and just sounds good. I'm not overdriving any of these compressors and making it sound bad. So I guess I just wanted to show you that, show you how I tend to use the master channel strip and the compressors I use and stuff, and in case it's helpful for you. So I hope this is helpful in mix organization. I have other tutorials on YouTube on session organization and shortcuts and things like that. Feel free to check them out. All right, thanks guys, and I'll talk to you later.